Chapter 536, Diamond Ring. Jinrong had already left, and the car stopped at the entrance of the shopping mall. A group of people in suits got out of the car and walked straight into the shopping mall. Boss Mo, welcome. In your absence, the profits in the shopping mall have decreased. In this luxury store, the jewelry, perfume, cosmetics, and clothes are all out of stock. We can only sell old models and rely on dividends to survive. These are the accounts for the past few months. Please have a look. The leader was the mall manager, Wang Keiping. Jinrong waved his hand and pushed the accounts aside. Don't show me those horrible accounts. I'm here today to see the overall operations of the various stores. You don't have to worry about the lack of stock. We will resume operation in 2 days. We will also increase the salary of every employee here by 20% and triple the bonus. Wang Keiping was a little surprised. His salary had never been increased in so many years. Was he lucky today? Jinrong walked around the shopping mall as though he had just started his inspection. He walked to the jewelry cabinet and circled the ring area for a long time. President, which one do you want to give to the young madam? There is a ring that hasn't been sold, although this is the display of the old series. It arrived a few months ago and is indeed a little expensive. Let me see. Jinrong felt that he had let Ayn Rand down when he didn't give her a decent ring or a proper wedding. Wang Keiping presented the large diamond ring to Mo Jinrong. His eyes lit up. President, this diamond ring was flown in from abroad. It is 2 carats and is in the shape of a star. There is a small heart-shaped diamond in the middle, symbolizing that there is a small family inside. It means she is the only one I love in this vast world. Our rings are also studded with diamonds, and there are also men rings in this pair of diamond rings. However, there aren't many diamonds in the man's ring. But it is a ring made of pure platinum. If you need it, I can carve yours and the madam's name on it. What do you think? Jinrong looked at the pair of the rings. The female ring was indeed good, but the male ring was a little inferior. The male ring is bare. I want a pattern for us holding hands and our names engraved on the 2 rings. How much does this pair of ring cost? Seeing Jinrong's interest, Wang Keiping spoke directly. The value of this pair of diamond rings is about 10 billion. It's because it's so expensive that many people hesitate to purchase them. If you want them, I can give you a 10% discount. Jinrong glanced at him and spoke coldly. Do you think I really need a discount on my own things? My love for her is priceless. The 10 billion yuan will be transferred to this store's account. Do what I requested and send it to my office in less than a week. You can't let Ayn Rand know. Yes, Boss Mo, don't worry, you will be satisfied. Wang Keiping took the rings and immediately sent someone to handle the matter. After Jinrong left the ring store, he turned to the next store. Boss Mo, are you secretly giving young madam a wedding? Mo-san thought that after experiencing much, Jinrong owed Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand is my lucky star. It's all because of her that the Mo family and I have become like this. We married hastily back then. Now that I think about it, I let her down. I should have given her a wedding and let the world know that she's my wife. Jinrong looked out the window quietly. In the past, he really did it to deal with old Mrs. Mo, but now he did it for himself. Young madam is so blessed. Mo-san was happy for them. Where's the next stop? Mo-san looked at the plan in his hand. The next stop is the commercial street. Shengli might choose it. Most of the people are at work today, so there are many people on the commercial street. Besides, it's all connected in all directions, so we have to be careful. Don't follow me later. Go to the police station and explain everything. Let the police handle this. Jinrong had given him countless chances, but this was a little cruel to old Mrs. Mo. After all, she had just lost her biological son. Mo-san went to the police station, and Jinrong brought his bodyguards to the commercial street. Boss Mo, the commercial street was still very popular in the past few quarters, and the clothes were selling well because of Ki Cha. Once the popularity passed, the commercial street returned to its usual cold appearance. Sales have been declining in the past few months. but there have been promotions. The person in charge of the commercial street was Wang Lan. He walked over and introduced the situation warmly. Jinran wasn't focused on the performance of the various stores. He looked left and right but didn't find Sheng Li. From now on, Keechaw's clothes will not be shown on the commercial street. You have to do proper publicity for it. Jinran walked forward again. There weren't many people on the street, but there were many shops and tea houses. He raised his head and pretended to observe the business upstairs. Sheng Li was hiding in the attic of a tea house on the commercial street. "He's here. Why don't you do anything?" Tan Shilin saw Jinran directly below them, but Sheng Li still hadn't moved. "Why are you hesitating? He's right below you. Why aren't you moving?" Tan Shilin was really anxious. He had provoked such a jinx because of him. His child was also gone, so he wanted him dead more than anyone else. "Shut up. There are so many people here. Do you want me to perish with him?" Sheng Li put the gun in his pocket, not daring to take it out. "Sheng Li, you said you would kill him. Why are you scared now? Are you trying to be a coward?" Tan Shilin sneered. "Shut up, otherwise you'll be the first to die." Sheng Li sat in the corner and secretly opened the window. The end of his gun was aimed at Jinrong. Downstairs, Jinrong looked at the tea house and walked in. "Old Wu, this is the owner of our commercial street, Boss Mo. He's here to do an inspection. Hurry and pour 2 cups of good tea." Wang Lan smiled and introduced. When Zhu Jihu heard it, he hurriedly got someone to make a cup of Da Hong Pao and a cup of Shi Hu Longjing. "Boss Mo, these are good tea leaves. Try them." Jinrong forced himself to drink the 2 cups of tea and looked upstairs. "Is the upstairs a place for tea too?" Upstairs is a private room. Each private room is just about a few square meters in size and can barely accommodate a few people. There are currently guests in the private room upstairs, Wu Jihu said. Chapter 537, Failure. Jinran turned around and picked the accounts from the tea house. This is the recent business of the tea house. It's always the same old customer, so the profits haven't changed much. Jinran flipped through it briefly and walked out of the tea house without looking carefully. Sheng Li aimed at Jinran's head and pulled the trigger. Bang! Jinran turned his head and Sheng Li fired. There was a loud bang. Everyone was stunned. What was that sound? Wang Lan panicked. It sounded like a gun. Wu Jihu was pale with fright. "Gun? Why is there a gun here?" Wang Lan looked at the surrounding crowd and was frightened. Jinrong knew Sheng Li was here. Upstairs, Tan Shilin reproached him. "You missed, idiot! Shut up, it's all your fault." Sheng Li continued to attack Jinrong. Jinrong hid at the side. He looked up and saw the gunshots were coming from upstairs. There was a short gun pointing at him from the windows upstairs. In an instant, he hurriedly dodged to the side, but Sheng Li was still pointing his gun at him. Gunshots rang out in the streets. Everyone scattered. Suddenly, a police siren sounded from afar. Sheng Li was a little scared. Damn it, he dares to call the police? Sheng Li put away his gun and prepared to leave. Tan Shilin grabbed him. "You want to run? At this juncture, where can you run to? Get lost. Am I going to have to wait for the police to arrest me if I don't run? Remember this, I will still find you." Sheng Li looked up the other window. There was no one around, so he stepped onto the table and jumped down. The 2-story building wasn't high enough, so Sheng Li only accidentally sprained his ankle after jumping down. Seeing the police approaching, he barely supported his body and limped away. Upstairs, Tan Shilin shouted for help. "I'm a hostage. Please don't kill me." The police swarmed up to the private room on the 2nd floor. Jinrong followed them upstairs in shock. "Young master, are you all right?" Moson ran over and asked anxiously. "I'm all right. He just escaped." "I'm innocent. He took me as hostage. He jumped out the window and ran. Hurry and chase after him." Although Tan Shilin said that, he was still furious. He had missed another good opportunity to kill him. "Are you really a hostage?" Jinrong asked softly. Tan Shilin pretended to be aggrieved and nodded. "Of course I'm a hostage. Why would I cooperate with him? He kidnapped my father and held a gun to his head. You should know that my father is old and can't move easily. If anything happens to him, the Tan family would be ruined. That's why I suggested that I exchanged my father as a hostage. Everything I said is absolutely true. Tan Shilin was horrified as he spoke. Sir, please come with us for an investigation. You're the only hostage in this incident. We need your information to arrest the suspect as soon as possible. It is very dangerous for him to be in wrong city with a gun. Tan Shilin didn't hesitate and immediately went to the police station. Junrong hurriedly ended the trip. Young master, do you think Tan Shilin is telling the truth? Osan thought that his expression was fake. Because of Yaxin, he might have a grudge against Anran and me, so it's not impossible for him to cooperate with Sheng Li. They probably discussed it, which is why they appeared at the tea house today. But he won't admit it, and there isn't any evidence yet. Junrong sat in his office thinking. Suddenly, the front desk called, saying that a group of reporters wanted to interview Junrong. Junrong let Mosan handle it. He couldn't be bothered with those annoying reporters. Because of the incident on the commercial street and the fact that everyone knew that it was Junrong, Anran immediately called Junrong after seeing the news. Are you alright? Anran asked with concern. Junrong could only smile fully and let his guard down and he was with Anran. I'm alright. Don't you know how robust my life is? You're still joking with me at a time like this? Sheng Li escaped, but today's matters won't end quickly. He'll definitely come again, so you have to be careful, Anran reminded him. I know, I deliberately tempered with him what happened today. I know I'm his target. Anran was very surprised. What did you say? You actually used your life as bait to lure him out? Do you want to die? Anran's tone was a little angry. Anran, don't be angry. Didn't I learn this from you? Back then, didn't you use yourself as bait to lure out the enemy? I had no choice. Sheng Li wants my life. If I don't come out, he'll just keep on hiding. He'll only be caught if I come out. Junrong's tone was still unhurried, sounding relaxed. Anran was really furious. Are you the same as me? Humans are different. You didn't catch him, right? He used the gun this time, and he might kill you next time. What will happen to me if you're gone? Junrong smiled when he heard this and was comforting her patiently. Anran, don't be angry. I'm all right. It'll be troublesome if you are in trouble. If you do such a dangerous thing again, I'll ignore you. Anran hung up angrily. Anran, what happened to Junrong? How did he get shot on the streets? Lier was extremely surprised by the news. Because of Sheng Li, I think he's crazy. Anran is furious. Every family has their own problems. I didn't expect the Mo family to have such a son. What a pity for old Mrs. Mo. She's already so old, but she doesn't even have a son. Lier felt bad for old Mrs. Mo. Fortunately, you didn't follow him today, or else he would have been injured again. Tell me, why is your life so miserable? Ting Young sighed. How is my life bitter? I'm in a wealthy family. I don't feel any bitterness at all, Anran smiled. You were sold, and you're still counting money for people? Liero tapped her head and said, Also, Mom and Dad, you don't have to look after me at home. How can a living person only remain at home? Liero still couldn't let go of her daughter. Over the past few times, she had learned her lesson. She couldn't let her daughter go. There were too many people who wanted to deal with her. She had to catch all those bad people. Her daughter is right. She's already so old, and daughters can't be kept at home. You can't keep her tied up in the house. Ting Young smiled. Chapter 538, Sneak Attack. But it's nothing. But there are a lot of things waiting for you at the hospital. You can't slack off at home. Ting Young brought Liero out of the house. The moment they left, Yaxin called. When Anran saw that it was Yaxin, she didn't refuse and picked it up. Yaxin, why are you calling me? Are you trying to frame me again? Anran smiled and said, Anran, I admit that you harmed me and my family, but my baby was innocent. What right do you have to deprive him of his right to come into the world? You said some nonsense to me in the hospital that day. Although I didn't understand much, I know that you'd want to end everything. I'll give you this chance now. Isn't there a big mountain in Wrong City? Let's end it there. Wait for me at Decapitation Mountain in a week. Yaxin didn't stay on the phone after speaking. Her tone was cold as she hung up. Anran was stunned. Decapitation Mountain, wasn't that where she fell off the cliff in her past life? She vaguely remembered Yaxin pushing her off the cliff and telling her the truth with a smile. Up until now, those were scars she couldn't afford to open again. This time, she actually wanted to meet at Decapitation Mountain. It seemed like she had made up her mind to end it once and for all. Then she would fulfill her wish. She had been waiting for this day. On the other side, the Tan family's house was surrounded by police. The police felt that Cheng Li wanted to find a place to hide. This should be their safest place. They sent many plainclothes officers to wait near the Tan family's house, waiting for Cheng Li to come knocking on their door. When Cheng Li arrived near the Tan family's house, he had long noticed the police hiding in their car. He was the head of the American underworld, so he could recognize such petty tricks. Hence, he turned around and went to the Qin family. Qin Taiyan had just returned home from the company when he saw Cheng Li sitting on the sofa looking like the owner of the house. "Why are you in my house? How did you get in?" Qin Taiyan looked at Cheng Li curiously. "I was the one who caused the shooting on the commercial street today. You're the only one who can help me now that the police are chasing me. Actually, I don't need you to find either, but the Tan family is surrounded by the police, so I have to trouble you." "I can't help you. You should hurry and leave. I'm already being merciful by not calling the police and arresting you. Do you still want me to help you? Have you forgotten what you did to my father and sister?" Qin Taiyan threw his clothes on the sofa and negotiated with him seriously. "I know that I did this and I let you down, but I didn't make any promises to Qin Shu. It was just her wishful thinking. It wasn't up to me," Cheng Li said to him. "Cheng Li, you still haven't repented. This is your fault. If you hadn't seduced my sister, she wouldn't have angered my dad to death. Get out of my house now, or I'll call the police and arrest you." Qin Taiyan took out his phone to call the police. Cheng Li took out his gun from his pocket. "Seems like you want to do this the hard way. You're only crying after seeing the coffin. If you dare to call the police today, I'll collect your corpse. I advise you to hide me obediently and send me abroad, or I'll kill you." Cheng Li spoke bluntly. "Are you crazy? Are you addicted to killing?" Qin Taiyan stood rooted in the ground, but left his phone in his pants pocket. "You forced me to do this. I advise you to listen to me obediently. Old Master Tan lived to this day because he was obedient. Your life now depends on your intelligence." Cheng Li's tone was vicious. Qin Taiyan had no choice but to agree. "Put the gun down first. I'll agree whatever you want." "That's right, you're still young. Why are you making it so hard?" Cheng Li put down the gun and sat on the sofa. Just then, Qin Taiyan's phone rang. Cheng Li snatched it and looked at the caller ID. It was Qin Shu, so he let him pick it up with a sigh of relief. "Brother, is Jinrong still alive?" Qin Shu was in a foreign country and didn't receive the information from Wrong City very quickly. She had just learned that Jinrong and Anran had returned alive and was asking her brother for confirmation. "Qin Shu, they are still alive. But don't even think about coming back for revenge." Qin Taiyan looked at Cheng Li, afraid that his sister would be hurt again. "Brother, don't worry. I've thought it through. From the moment I left the country, I let go of everything. I regret it now. Why was I so stubborn in the past? I was the one who caused Dad's death. I wonder if he can forgive me. I'm not asking you about this to seek revenge. I just wanted you to confirm if they were still alive." Qin Shu had no intentions of taking revenge on them. "Are you serious? In short, don't return to the country now. I'm here so you don't have to worry about anything. You just have to study well abroad, and then when you succeed, come back to manage the company. Do you hear me?" Qin Taiyan didn't have high expectations for his sister. He only hoped that she would live peacefully abroad. "Got it, brother. Bye. I'm going to class." She sounded excited, but not because they were still alive, but because she could think life through clearly. Cheng Li was visibly moved. "Don't have any designs on my sister. I send you abroad. But you can't do anything to hurt my sister or find her." Qin Taiyan was the first to state his conditions. "I'm going to kill those two first." The reason Cheng Li was hiding was to kill the two of them to avenge him. Otherwise, with his abilities, he could have avoided the police blockade. Jinrong is heavily guarded now after your incident today. He's even more vigilant. You won't succeed. It's either succeed or die trying. No matter what, I have to give it a try. Jinrong is my enemy. Without him, I wouldn't be where I am today. Cheng Li seemed very agitated at the mention of those 3 words. He had died once before, so he wasn't afraid. The reason he wanted to escape now was for his daughter. He wanted to return abroad and spend the rest of his life with her after the two of them were killed. Let me remind you, do whatever you want, just don't implicate me, Hin Tai-en warned. I just want a place to stay, don't worry, I'll leave after I kill those two people. Shang Li turned and walked upstairs. Chapter 559, Deceived Her. How do you know I won't call the police to arrest you? Hin Tai-en turned and asked. If that's the case, we'll perish together. I don't believe you will abandon your father's hard work. Your sister probably can't manage such a big company, right? Shang Li said firmly. Hin Tai-en really didn't have the courage to abandon such a large corporation. After all, it was his father's hard work for many years. Meanwhile, ever since Tan Shilin got rid of Shang Li, he had wanted to find someone to subdue Jinrong. Since hard tactics didn't work, soft tactics would work. He had secretly bribed the Mo Corporation's employees to deliberately mix in fake products. This time, Jinrong couldn't defend himself. No matter how tough his life was, he wouldn't be able to escape jail time. Shilin, how's Yaxin? Well, Master Tan remembered that he hasn't heard news of Yaxin in a long time and was a little worried. He wasn't particularly concerned about his daughter-in-law, he was just thinking about his grandson. Dad, there's something I still haven't told you. Actually, Yaxin had a miscarriage a few days ago. I didn't tell you because I was afraid you would be upset. The old man broke down when he heard that. He widened his eyes and looked at his son in disbelief. What did you say? Did I hear wrongly? How is that possible? The grandson he had been waiting for so long was gone. He had persevered until now because of his grandson. It wasn't easy to see a trace of hope, but now it was gone. Dad, don't worry, I'll definitely take revenge and have another child. Don't be sad anymore. Tan Shilin was frustrated. How can I not be upset? He is my grandson. I must take revenge. Jinrong owes me his life. Old Master Tan was furious. I've gotten someone to tamper with the Mo Corporation. It won't be easy for Jinrong to make a comeback after this. Tan Shilin crossed his arms and sat on the sofa looking confident. We can't be rash again. We have to consider this matter carefully. I haven't offended anyone in my life. I won't offend anyone if they don't offend me. Jinrong is always forcing me, so don't blame me for being rude. Tell Yaxin to recuperate well and give birth to a fat grandson for me. I promise she will have whatever she wants. Old Master Tan was furious. In the past, he wasn't willing to accept Yaxin as his daughter-in-law, but the situation was different now, and he had to accept it. He didn't care who she was as long as she could give birth to a grandson for him. Tan Shilin nodded in agreement, but he didn't take that woman seriously. Previously, it was because she had a baby, but now that the baby was gone, he didn't want to provoke that woman anymore. Speaking of the devil, Yaxin's name appeared on Tan Shilin's phone. He didn't want to pick her up, but because old Master Tan, he picked it up. Yaxin, what's the matter? Tan Shilin, are you going to save my dad or not? He can't go to jail anymore. I don't have a father or a mother anymore. Please save him. I'm begging you. Yaxin became agitated again as she spoke. Her father had been in prison twice, and she didn't know when her mother and grandma would come out. She had no one to rely on now, and could only rely on Shilin. Yaxin, your dad is so silly. The evidence is conclusive. There is evidence, there is a witness, the time and place, and even a murder weapon is clear. I really can't save him. Let your dad fend for himself. Tan Shilin was annoyed and didn't want to care about such nonsense. Her father wasn't his father's, and he didn't have the time. What are you saying? Isn't my dad your dad? If you're not going to save my dad, I'll die in front of you. Yaxin had no choice but to threaten him with her death. Old Master Tan didn't have a choice when he saw that Yaxin was like this, but for the sake of his grandson, he could only coax her. Yaxin, in my opinion, it's better for you to find the person involved and beg for forgiveness. Of course, I promise I will save your father if you're willing to give birth to a fat grandson with me. I'm old, and I just want to see a grandson. If you can do it, not only will your father, but even your mother can be saved. Tan Shilin looked at his father in surprise. He knew that his father missed his grandson too much, but even he didn't dare to guarantee it. Yaxin believed him and immediately agreed to give birth to a grandson. After hanging up, Tan Shilin started to worry. Dad, what kind of people is that family? Don't you know that they killed someone on the streets? The evidence is conclusive. How are we going to get them out? There are also witnesses for Shu Yanshan's kidnapping. Ayn Rand definitely won't be willing to reconcile. Of course I know I have no choice. I just want a grandson. What's wrong with that? It doesn't matter if her parents don't come out as long as she gives birth to a grandson for me. As long as she eats and drinks well in our house, I don't believe she'll have any other thoughts. Old Master Tan said, Dad, you have no idea. This woman isn't to be trifled with. If she finds out that you lied to her, we won't be able to have a good life. Tan Shilin was a little worried. He knew how clingy that woman was. If she went crazy, no one could control her. It's your fault. If you had come to your senses earlier and sired a grandson for me, then this wouldn't have anything to do with that woman. Besides, wouldn't it be better to let her marry into a rich family and give her good food and drink? If she dares to fool around, I'll just send her to the police station. Old Master Tan wasn't afraid at all. Tan Shilin was tired of it. Old Master Tan always talked about having grandchildren. Since there's no one around and there are so many police officers outside, he decided to hide. Previously, Yan Ran was treated coldly by many people because of his brother-in-law's death. His resources had decreased, although his popularity was still there. After all, many people were willing to give him so many resources because of his reputation. Many people were watching, and his resources had risen now that his brother-in-law was back openly. He wasn't despised like before. Yan Ran, recently your brother-in-law's incident had caused a stir, and you have been implicated. Your resources have recovered, and there will be a banquet for directors tonight. You can attend it. Wang King placed the invitation card on his desk. Yan Ran picked up the invitation card and glanced at it. He frowned when he saw the names of the big shots. Sis Wang, will these people attend the cocktail party? Yan Ran looked up. Wang King nodded. She knew that Yan Ran was worried. In the entertainment circle, birds of a feather flocked together. The people on the list were the assets of the entertainment circle. Many young actors and actresses submitted to them. Sometimes even directors were not spared. Chapter 540, Banquet. But it was because of them that many popular actors became famous. No one would report them. This was normal. However, it was dangerous for a righteous young man like Yan Ran to participate in such a cocktail party. He might accidentally cut off his escape route. Of course, you can choose not to participate, but it will reduce your resources. I won't force you. In the circle, as long as you think quickly, nothing serious will happen. You can decide for yourself. Wang King didn't want to give one of her generals to the freaks because of resources, unless they were willing. Yan Ran thought for a moment and looked at the scripts in his hands. Other than the latest variety show, there was almost no good scripts for him. Sis King, you're right. As long as I think fast, I believe I won't be harmed by them. Yan Ran decided to attend the banquet. After all, it was a good opportunity to get resources. There were too many people like him in the entertainment circle. If he didn't work hard, the opportunity would always be theirs. That night, Yan Ran was dressed to the nines. He wore a fitted suit, had a beautiful hairstyle, and an exquisite face. He attracted the attention of many people on the moment he appeared. Everyone present was dressed in gorgeous gowns and exquisite makeup. Both men and women, young and old, were very surprised by his appearance. It was their first time. Many people saw him like this, and they felt that he was even prettier than on television. The moment he walked into the middle of the room, several people appeared from the side, walking towards him with wine glasses. Yan Ran recognized one of the men at a glance. He was a famous director in the entertainment circle. He heard that he was recently filming a movie called On the River during the King Ming Festival. He was selected the male lead for the characters of the movie, and Yan Ran had always wanted to be in his movies. Since he was here, he wouldn't stand on ceremony. Yan Ran took the initiative to walk towards them. Are you Yan Ran? This is the first time I've seen you. Lin Fei looked gentle and refined, and his smile was kind. He gave Yan Ran a good impression. Director Lin, I heard about you a long time ago. I heard that you're filming a period drama called On the River during the King Ming Festival. I'm quite interested. Yan Ran held a glass of red wine, looking very familiar as he spoke those polite words. I choose not to choose the mainly casually, but I've been having a headache recently because of it. I've selected a few, but I haven't decided on who yet. Lin Fei pretended to have a headache. Hey Lynn, what are you saying? Our Yanran is a popular celebrity. Who can be more likable than our Yanran? Just based on looks, who can compare? Wang King tried to smooth things over. Yanran, to be honest, being handsome is one of the first tasks for actors. But your acting skills are your most important asset if you want to be a good actor. I have seen the television dramas you act in. They're really ordinary, but you did become popular halfway through. But do you know the reason why it's so popular? It's all on account for your handsome face. I have a modern drama. The third male lead position is available. If you think it's suitable, we can decide on it today. Beside Lin Hao was an unknown and small director who piped up. Wang King glanced at him. She didn't recognize our director in front of her, nor has his film any famous movies. But this was the director's conference, after all. She couldn't openly refute him. Director, it's a waste of Yanran's talent to be the third male lead. Although I haven't seen your show and I don't know your name. Do you think there are any other shows? Yanran is a lucky star. He'll become popular wherever he goes. The popularity and data are here. He might even be able to help your actor to become popular after he joins the production team. The young director glanced at Wang King and smiled disdainfully. Who do you think you are? How dare you be so picky? It's good enough that you have an online drama. Don't you know how you got your status? You relied on sending others to prison to gain popularity, and on your sister and brother-in-law both. Your brother-in-law's company is half dead, and I don't know when it'll get better. You're still picky about your resources? Don't act as if you don't dare. Director Lin's show isn't something you can act in. Yanran didn't say anything. He didn't want to quarrel with the directors on such an occasion. He smiled at the director instead. I know I'm not strong enough. That's why I need to enter the director's production team to train. I'll start from the bottom. I don't mind the director is willing to give me the third male position. I'm not picky as long as the script is good. Yanran belittled him with just a few words. If this director accepted him, it would mean that he admitted that he was a lousy director and that the production team and the script weren't any good. Anyone with a brain could tell that Yanran was mocking him. The young director's face flushed red, but he didn't dare to retort. After all, in front of Lin Fei, he didn't dare to say how good a director he was. You third-rate actor, how dare you speak to me like this? If it weren't for Director Lin, I would have exposed you. What's so great about you? The young director laughed with his wine glass. Lin Fei glanced at Yanran and smiled. You're quite flexible, but it won't be easy to get into my show. I'll get my assistant to pass you my script later. Come and audition sometime. Yanran was excited to hear this. As expected, the boy who loved to smile wouldn't have bad luck. Thank you, Director Lin, for giving me this chance. I'll definitely perform well and won't disappoint you. Yanran's words were full of excitement and gratitude. Once he was in his show, he might become famous in the future. He saw a few familiar faces. So I won't chat with you any longer. Remember the audition for the role is in 3 days. Lin Fei patted his shoulders and reminded him patiently. Got it, Director. Yanran turned around and praised himself for his performance. He walked to a chair and sat down. It wasn't easy to get a show with Lin Fei. Saying that the situation was stable today, Wang King didn't accompany him anymore. Yanran wasn't the only celebrity under her. She had to fight for more opportunities for other celebrities. Yanran sat in the corner eating the pastries. At this moment, a man in a suit with glasses walked over. He sat beside him with a glass of red wine and smiled. You're Lin Yanran. I saw you fighting with director Lin's movie. I have a movie to film too. Do you want to participate? The man looked very refined. Yanran eyed the man in front of him. Chapter 541 persists. He hadn't heard any news about this man in the circle. Was he an unknown director? Although Yanran's current status can be considered to be a B-list celebrity, he still paid attention to known little directors who came to strike up conversation. Not only would he be accused of being arrogant, but he also felt that it was his blessing to have such a small director come to him. What show are you referring to? I don't think I've heard of any work related to you in the industry. I don't mean anything by that. I just want to ask. Yanran asked politely. I'm a director, but I also work as an investor. You may not have heard my name, but it doesn't matter. In fact, I really didn't come to find you to film. I know that you have an older sister and that your brother-in-law is Jinrong. I have a lot of money that can match up to your brother-in-law. It'll be easy for me to spend a lot of money to promote you. Let me introduce myself. My surname is Taiyan. I have worked many ways to make you famous, as long as you behave. Taiyan Filong finally revealed his true colors. Yanran finally saw through his refined appearance and saw his beastly heart. So you're saying that you can spend a lot of money to promote me, but I have to listen to you? But what has that got to do with my sister? Besides, I'm already very popular, so I don't need you to promote me. You are indeed very young. Don't you know the rules of the entertainment circle? In this circle, everyone can be the most popular or the least popular. You are a popular celebrity, and popular celebrities are like water. If you keep them, they might dry up one day, and no one will notice you. You might not be able to experience it now, but you must have heard of the miserable treatment of outdated celebrities. They can only accept commercial performance, hotel platforms, and such unpopular notices. If you listen to me, I'll definitely make you famous in the entertainment for a long, long time, just like Lee Duha. He promised. Yanran was still very contemptuous and smiled disdainfully. How can you be so sure that you won't go bankrupt one day, no matter how rich you are? Or can you be richer than my brother-in-law? What are you trying to do by making me listen to you? Yanran stood up, not wanting to talk to him any longer. I know that your sister is very beautiful, and I've been drooling over her for a long time. If you can let her accompany me for a night, I guarantee that your life in the entertainment circle will be smooth sailing. But if you don't agree, don't blame me for being heartless to her. Taiyan Fulong spoke his dirty thoughts. When Yanran heard such disgusting words coming from a seemingly cultured person, he felt disgusted. We're all refined people hiding an evil heart. I'm warning you, don't you dare touch my sister. She's married. Aren't you afraid that my brother-in-law will make it impossible for you to turn in the tables? Yanran looked at him angrily. The Mole Corporation now is on the verge of death, and who knows when it'll return to its former state. You must have been despised a lot during this period, right? Your success was brought about by your brother-in-law, and your failure is the same. If you don't agree to my request, I'll attack your sister at any time. When the time comes, it won't be up to you whether she lives or dies. Instead of that, why don't you be good and send her your sister to me? I can make you soar in one night. It's alright if you're unwilling. You're pretty and I have a few good sisters around me. They love fresh meat like you the most. Will you sacrifice yourself or your sister? But in my opinion, it's better if you offer your sister. Actually, she doesn't have anything to lose. Isn't it good for both of us to succeed? Taiyan Fulong spoke casually. He had been courting Yanran for a long time, even though she was Jinrong's wife. Who wouldn't want to have a taste? Get lost. It's impossible for you to harm my sister through me. Yanran could understand why such a kind person like his sister would have so many people wanting to harm her. After Taiyan Fulong was rejected, he stepped up and spoke harshly. If I don't see your sister in the summer hotel tomorrow night, she won't live to see tomorrow. Believe it or not, you will choose to use your life or your sister's. I think you'll have your own considerations. Yanran was afraid that something would happen to his sister. He thought about it and finally said something. I choose myself. Taiyan Fulong was a little surprised that he was willing to give up his body for his sister. Alright, you chose it yourself. Don't regret it when the time comes. Not far away, Wang King saw Taiyan Fulong and knew that something bad had happened again. This man was known as the King of Cannon in the entertainment circle. He was extremely scheming and ruthless. Those who didn't agree to his requests didn't have a place in the entertainment circle. All of this was because he was rich. After Taiyan Fulong left, Wang King walked over. What did he say to you? Why do you have such an expression? Sis Wang, I might not be able to make it this time. His target is my sister and he wants me to choose between her and me. I chose myself and I can't let her do anything risky for me again. Yanran sat in his chair in panic. Although he was extremely unwilling, he had done this for his sister. She had suffered too many injuries and dangerous things. He couldn't let her be hurt by bad people because of him again. That guy is too detestable. He relied on his money to dominate the entertainment circle and no one would provoke him. The consequence of provoking him is being chased out of the entertainment circle. Wang King had no choice. Sis Wang, don't tell my sister about this. I'm afraid she'll be worried. When did he say? Wang King asked with concern. Tomorrow night at the Hotel Summer. He said there'll be several rich women waiting for me. After Yanran's finished speaking, he walked out of the hotel in a daze. This silly child is too pitiful. Wang King couldn't let this go. Although many of her subordinates had experienced such things, she didn't stop them. He was different. He was a clean child. Meanwhile, Ayn Rand didn't know about her brother and was flirting with her husband in the office. She sat on Jinrong's lap, her arms wrapped around his neck, looking very intimate. Jinrong, it's good that you can recover. It's better to have healthy legs, Ayn Rand smiled. It's because of my wife's meticulous care. How do you think I can repay my dear wife? He leaned his head slowly against Ayn Rand's cheek, looking at her like he was about to kiss her. Ayn Rand turned her head slowly and smiled. There are a few many ways to repay someone. For example, the act of acting intimate, close with each other. With that, he carried Ayn Rand like a princess, placed her directly on the sofa, unbuttoned his shirt, and slowly leaned over. Chapter 542, Shang Li's daughter. The battle ended 2 hours later. Jinrong hadn't had enough, and his previously dry and fluffy hair was now drenched in sweat. Mo San knocked on the door, not knowing what happened inside. What? Jinrong opened the door with dissatisfaction and touched his hair. Young master, you... He stretched his head curiously and saw Ayn Rand on the sofa, seemingly tidying her clothes. Is that something you should see? Jinrong blocked the door and asked. If you have something to say it quickly. If not, get lost. You have taken Shang Li's daughter. Where do you want her to be settled? Mo San suppressed his laughter and looked at his young master. He didn't expect office romance to be so intense. Just leave her in a hotel, give her whatever she wants, and spread the news to Shang Li. Jinrong had closed the door when Mo San continued speaking. Master, take care of your health. With that, he turned and ran. Did you hear that? He told you to take care of your health. It's been 2 hours. Aren't you tired? Ayn Rand straightened her clothes, stood up from the sofa, and smiled. Jinrong closed the door with a handsome smile, walking up to her and wrapped his arm around her slender waist. I'm not tired. I can still fight for 2 more hours. It depends on whether you're willing or not. Jinrong tilted his head, leaning over to kiss her. Ayn Rand was exhausted and didn't have the energy to fight him anymore. Cut it out. Let's talk business. I heard that you brought Shang Li's daughter in. Jinrong nodded and released her to sit on the sofa. I found his daughter's address. Her daughter is his lifeline. With his daughter, I don't believe we can't catch him. That's not necessarily true, in my opinion, although Shang Li feels bad for his daughter. He knows he won't do anything to her. He might not even appear. Ayn Rand felt that as the head of the foreign gang, his patience had to be strong and ruthless. He would never allow himself to have any weakness. She didn't know Shang Li was like this. He will. At least he'll visit his daughter. It's the only thing I can promise. I will get someone to ambush him around the hotel, and we'll definitely be able to catch him. Jinrong was certain. His uncle hasn't been by his side for so many years, but he still knew him very well. Shang Li was a man who lacked love and valued relationships. When he was young, no one cherished him or loved him, so he shared all his love with his daughter. He definitely didn't want his girl to become someone like him. Where's his daughter? I want to see her. Ayn Rand was very curious about the daughter of a gangster. Xiangyun Hotel. I'll send someone to follow you. Let Mo San follow me. Ayn Rand picked up her bag and was about to leave when Jinrong grabbed her waist and carried her to the sofa. Kiss me before you leave. Jinrong and Ayn Rand started their intimate married life again. At the hotel, Ayn Rand and Mo San went to the hotel to visit Shang Li's daughter. Young madam, the young lady doesn't look like a gangster. She looks very well behaved and cute. She doesn't look like her father at all. Mo San recalled the first time he saw her in a foreign country. Ayn Rand saw the little girl through the door. She had braided hair, fair skin, big eyes, and was holding a doll. She sat up by the bed and was focused on braiding the doll's hair. Ayn Rand pushed the door open quietly and walked in. When the little girl turned around, Ayn Rand saw a little angel-like face. She is Shang Li's daughter? Ayn Rand was a little surprised. The girl smiled brightly. When she saw someone coming, she put down the doll in her hand and ran excitedly to hug Ayn Rand. Sis, did Dad ask you to come and see me? When is he coming to see me? I miss him so much. The little girl was missing a tooth and her big eyes looking watery and glowing. Ayn Rand couldn't help but squat down and ask, What's your name? The little girl smiled and raised her head. My name is Gia, and my English name is Annie. Who are you? Why is my father not here? Anna spoke to her gently. Your father will be here soon. Gia, where's your mother? When Gia heard the word mother, she immediately became very sad and frowned. I don't have a mother. I was abandoned by her because I have a heart disease and she didn't want me anymore. Dad picked me up. I only have a father no matter what. Anran was stunned. She wasn't his biological daughter. Does your father treat you well? Anran asked. Of course, my father is the best father in the world. He'll often take me to play and buy me many delicious foods and toys. He has many friends and no one dares to bully me. It's just that he's always so busy and I haven't seen him in a long time. Gia was very sad and tearful, as though she was about to cry. Gia, don't cry. Your father will be here soon. We brought you over because we wanted you to be reunited with your father. She wiped her tears gently. Thank you, sis. Sis, you're so beautiful. Gia smiled brightly again and looked at Anran with sparkling eyes. Anran immediately felt uncomfortable. Such a young adult shouldn't be involved in adult matters. It seemed that Shengli wasn't bad by nature. It was just that things that happened in his childhood had traumatized him. He must have felt guilty towards Mei Ying, which is why he poured all his love into his daughter. I'll let them cook whatever Gia wants to eat. Tell me if anyone bullies you. I'll definitely teach them a lesson. Anran touched her hair and looked at the little girl in front of her with a smile. She took a look and indeed felt that the little girl resembled Mo Ying in the photo. I just want Dad. Does Dad have something going on outside? It's always like this. He'll be gone for days, leaving me alone at home. Sometimes he comes back injured. Gia's heart aches when she sees him. You must persuade Dad not to let such dangerous things happen again. Gia is really worried because he's my only family. Gia lowered her head. To her, Shengli was her world, the only person she could rely on. Anran felt her heart ache when she heard this. This girl had endured so much at a young age. She suddenly regretted involving her in this and letting her know what kind of person her father was. Chapter 543. He offered his body. Gia, don't be sad. Your father will be back soon. Gia, you must eat well and be good. I'll definitely help you find your father, okay? Anran comforted the little girl patiently. Gia nodded sensibly, but her eyes were slightly lonely. Dad doesn't know that I'm here yet. I'll have to call him. Gia took out her phone and called Shengli. Shengli was thinking about his future in the Qin family. His phone could only pick up his daughter's calls, and he didn't pick up any other calls. At this point, he didn't trust anyone. He picked up the phone and held it to his ear. Gia, what's the matter? Are you missing Dad? Shengli appeared extremely gentle. Gia nodded. Dad, when are you coming back? Gia misses you. Do you know where Gia is now? Shengli asked in confusion. Where are you now? Are you playing happily with your uncles? No, Gia is in the wrong city now. Dad, when are you coming to see me? Shengli's body trembled, and even his pupils dilated. What? You're in wrong city? How did you get here? He didn't understand that his daughter could cross the ocean and take a plane by herself. Dad, didn't you bring me here? And Uncle said that you asked him to bring me here. And there's also a beautiful sister here. Gia spoke obediently, smiling at Anran as she spoke. Did they hurt you? Shengli hurriedly asked. They didn't hurt me. They treated me very well. I even ate my favorite vanilla ice cream here. Dad, when are you coming back? Gia misses you so much. Gia weeded her father over the phone. Where are you now? Is there anyone with you? Shengli was anxious to see his daughter's condition. Yes, I have a very beautiful sister. She said that she would take me to eat delicious food, and she said she would bring you over to reunite with me. Gia was missing her front tooth, but she smiled fearlessly. Good daughter, listen to me. Don't leave with anyone or eat anything anyone gives you. Shengli looked nervous as he reminded his daughter. Annan had heard their conversation. She had never seen Shengli being so polite to anyone. Daughter, give the phone to the person beside you. I have something to tell her. Shengli wanted to see if the woman beside her was Anran. Gia held the phone to Anran obediently. My father wants to talk to you. Must bring him back. Gia smiled. Anran took the phone, turned around, and walked into the corridor. Sheng Li, is this the only way you'll be willing to reappear? What exactly do you want? This is a grudge between us. Gia is just a child, and she has a heart disease. Why are you involving her? Sheng Li gritted his teeth, feeling as anxious as an ant in a hot pot, afraid that they would hurt his daughter. Oh, Sheng Li, don't worry, we won't be as crazy as you. I just wanted to bring her over to be able to reunite with you. I can't do anything since you're unwilling to show yourself. Your daughter is in Xiangyun Hotel. I've told you about it, now it's up to you. Anran told Sheng Li her plan carefully, afraid that he would blow up. After all, his daughter was in her hands. Let me tell you, if you dare to hurt my daughter at all, I won't forgive you. Sheng Li hung up. His daughter was his weakness, and he never abandoned her to escape. But if he brought her along and she'd be hurt, he would be even more worried. Anran returned the phone to Gia. Sis, will my dad really come to see me? Gia looked at his beautiful sister in disbelief. Previously, her father was too busy with work and had very few opportunities to accompany her. Of course he will, trust me. Anran smiled and caressed her round little head. All right, I'll believe you this once. After Gia finished speaking, she returned to play with her doll. Anran had instructed the people around her to give her the best treatment. She believed that Sheng Li would definitely come the next day. The very next day, although Yanran was unwilling, he had to do this for his sister. Yanran, there must be another way. Don't compromise for your sister. Wang King always felt that Yanran was a clean and thorough person. She couldn't let him be tarnished like this. I have no choice. I can't forgive myself if I get hurt because of my sister. I might as well sacrifice myself. Don't tell my sister about this. I'm afraid she'll be upset. Yanran walked into the hotel as he spoke. There was a room carefully prepared by Tan Fulong. He walked in with a dead heart. After today, he wouldn't have any reason to establish a pure and clean image anymore. He planned to leave the entertainment circle. Yanran walked in dejectedly. As expected, there were several women in their 30s waiting for him in revealing clothes. You really came. Previously, our brother told us that you might not come. It seems that you have a deep relationship with your sister. Is it worth being sacrificed for her future? Do you know the consequences of rejecting Tan Fulong? The woman looked at him and said. Yanran closed the door and spoke dejectedly. As long as I can save my sister, it's worth it even if I have to sacrifice my life. Whatever you want, don't implicate my sister. I stole her happiness in the first half of her life. I owe her this, so I should be paying her back. It's such a blessing to be your sister. It'd be great if I could have such a brother. Let's not talk anymore and start working. Since you're a newbie, we'll do it for you. The women smiled at each other. Outside, Wang King felt that the things couldn't end like this. She drove straight to the Lan family villa. Anran had nothing to do and was fiddling with the flowers at home. Wang King hurried in. Anran, something happened to your brother. When Anran heard this, she hurriedly put down the watering can in her hand. Well, what happened to him? Before she could explain, Wang King pulled her into the car. In the car, she explained the details to Anran. Why is he so silly? Anran cried. She hurriedly picked up her phone and called Yanran. At this moment, Yanran was taking a shower in the room and his phone was on the table. When the women saw his phone rang, they picked it up. Hey! When Yanran heard a woman's voice, she was furious. If you dare to touch my brother, I won't forgive you. The women looked at each other and smiled. Chapter 544. He was drugged. You're such a failure as a sister. If I had such a good brother, I'd definitely protect him in the palm of my hands and never let him use up his life like this. But it isn't up to you anymore since he fell into our hands. He was willing. He has chosen either his future with us or your life. Don't worry, we'll treat your brother well. It's his first time, so we'll definitely do it well. We'll be very gentle. She hugged, making Anran even more worried. Miss, drive faster. Anran urged the taxi drive anxiously. Yanran didn't want me to tell you because he was afraid that you'd be worried, but I think you need to know. That child is too silly. Wang King found him pitiful. Anran hurriedly called Jinrong and told him about it. Jinrong put down his work and drove to the hotel. In the hotel, Yanran stayed in the bathroom, unwilling to go out. He kept scrubbing every inch of his skin. He felt like he was rubbing himself with a braised prawn so they wouldn't touch him. Yanran, you have to be in there for so long. Why aren't you out yet? The women were anxious. If you don't come out, we'll come in and find you. The woman giggled on the bed. Yanran didn't seem to hear them and continued to shower in the bathroom. Yanran, don't you think I don't know what you're thinking? You keep saying that you want to save your sister, but are you just saying that? If you don't give yourself to us today, you can forget about leaving this place. If you're really unwilling, you can hand your sister over. Your sister called just now and she was very worried about your safety. If you come out now, nothing will happen to her. If she keeps knocking on my door, I can't guarantee her safety. Yanran turned off the tap and opened the bathroom door in a hurry. Don't hurt my sister. I promise you, you can do whatever you want. That's right. Drink the thing on the table. The woman pointed a glass of clear water on the table. Yanran walked over and took the glass. He knew what was inside, but for his sister's sake, he chose to drink it without hesitation. Yanran, from today onwards, you're our plaything. I heard that the last batch of old women who wanted you were sent to prison. Today, you have to be good, and I guarantee you'll be able to survive the entertainment circle. After Yanran drank the glass of water, he felt dizzy. Everything he saw was now double. Be good, come to me. The woman waved, and Yanran walked over unconsciously. He suddenly felt hot all over. Yanran laid on the bed. The moment Yanran arrived at the hotel, she was about to run in a hurry when she was stopped by the front desk. Miss, you have to register when you come here. The receptionist was a girl and she spoke gently. Let me ask you, Yanran. What room is Yanran in? Yanran was anxious and grabbed her. The receptionist smiled. Sorry, we won't reveal any information about the guest. I'm his sister and he's in danger. Going to save him. Tell me where he is. Yanran was sweating profusely. In her past life, her brother was tortured to death to save her. She would never let history repeat itself. Yanran, go over first. I'll stall them. He's in 301. Wang King shouted. Yanran ignored everything and entered the elevator to the 3rd floor. Wang King stayed behind to deal with them. Yanran laid in the middle of the women as they took turns admiring him. He's so pretty. Do it. I can't wait. The women at the side smiled. They hugged and kissed him, their bright red lips kissing Yanran's face. Yanran didn't resist at all. He closed his eyes and laid motionlessly on the middle. But for some reason he was conscious. He wanted to resist, but he couldn't open his eyes or move his limbs. Yanran happened to arrive at the door. She knocked on the door without a care. Let go of my brother, don't touch him. Yanran's loud voice attracted the attention of many people. The woman heard the voice outside and immediately walked over to open the door. Who is it? What a disappointment. The woman was dressed revealingly, and when she saw Yanran, she immediately went up to her. Let go of my brother. Yanran was furious. She forced her way through the gap. Are you his sister? Why are you so rude? Yanran pushed the woman in front of her aside and walked to see her brother lying on the bed, covered in lipstick marks. What did you do to my brother? Yanran looked at her brother laying motionlessly on the middle of the bed, suspecting that he had been drugged. He volunteered. It has nothing to do with me. Since you're here, don't even think about leaving. Sisters, close the door. The woman eyed Yanran. No wonder your brother is so good looking. You're not bad either. What are you going to do? Yanran climbed onto the bed and helped her brother up. She shook and took Yanran's pulse. His pulse was stable, but his eyes were unfocused. He must have been drugged with the drug to control his mind. Do you know why your brother is here? It's because of you. Since you're here, don't blame me. The few of you, capture her and tie her up. Call Boss Tyann over. The woman rushed forward and grabbed Yanran. What are you doing? Let go of me. Yanran was very strong and broke free from the 2 people beside her. Let go of you? We won't have a good life then. Tie her up and hand her over to Boss Tyann. Might even get some benefits. Continue to tie her up with ropes. The woman smiled. Although Yanran was strong, she couldn't break free from the group. She was quickly caught and tied up. I want you to see with your own eyes how your brother is tortured by us, the woman smiled. As they spoke, they quickly pounced on Yanran. Yanran watched her brother being devoured bit by bit. She gritted her teeth, clenching her fists, and watched everything with hatred. Suddenly, Jinrong appeared in front of her like a ray of light. He kicked the door open with all his might and looked at the woman on the bed. When he saw his wife tied to a chair, no one can believe my wife, not even a woman. Before the women on the bed could react, exquisite faces they had never seen before appeared in their eyes. That man is very good looking. Are you coming too? When the women saw such a handsome man, She couldn't control herself and reached out to seduce him. Jinrong slapped her. "Don't touch me." He walked towards Ayn Rand and gently untied the rope and cloth in her mouth. "How dare you hit me? Do you know who I am?" The woman covered her swollen face and stared at Jinrong angrily. "You're too dirty. Hitting you will dirty my own hands." Jinrong only had eyes for his wife. Ayn Rand didn't have time to think and went to save her brother. "What medicine did you give him?" Ayn Rand looked at her brother, who had a dull gaze and motionless eyes like he was a vegetable state. Jinrong glanced at the woman in front of him, his eyes fierce, making the woman tremble in fear. "Tell me, who told you to do this? What medicine did you feed him?" Jinrong's tone was deep, and there was a horrifying atmosphere around him, as though he was about to erupt. The woman stammered and didn't dare to say anything. "It's just medicine to control the nerves and brain. He'll wake up automatically in 2 hours." The woman lowered her head, not daring to look at Jinrong. "Who told you to do this? If you don't have anything to say, you can forget about staying in Wrong City." Jinrong's hungry wolf-like gaze made the woman shiver. Before they could speak, several happy whistles came from outside. "Let me see, where is my beauty?" Tyann Fulong walked in and was shocked by the scene. "Boss Mo, I'm sorry, I didn't know you were here." When he saw Jinrong's terrifying gaze, he took a step back in fright. "Did you kidnap my wife?" Jinrong looked at Tyann Fulong and wanted to rip him apart. If it weren't for the law, he would have died in his hands. "I didn't know she was your wife. If I had known, I wouldn't have dared to do so. Boss Mo, let me go." Tyann Fulong said that he didn't know, but he knew it better than anyone else. Jinrong naturally wouldn't believe his words. He didn't know. In the entertainment circle, including the business world, everyone knows that Ayn Rand is my brother-in-law and that Ayn Rand is my wife. How could you not know? You're breaking the law. "Call the police. I want him in jail for the rest of his life." Ayn Rand hugged her brother and looked at the disgusting people in hatred. Chapter 545. Courtesan. "Miss Land, please understand me. I did this because I admire you. Everyone in the circle knows that you're very beautiful and a stunner. I just wanted to have a taste. What did I do wrong?" Tyann Fulong spoke righteously. "You bastard, how dare you touch my woman? Don't you know that she's my wife? You must be tired of living." Jinrong went up and grabbed his collar. "Boss Mo, please forgive me. I won't dare to do it again." Tyann Fulong was horrified when he saw Jinrong. "Forgive you? What about my wife and her brother's matter?" Jinrong didn't intend to let them off. "Mo-san, go to the flower world and bring 2 foreign courtesans," Jinrong said. "Courtesans? What are you doing?" And then looked at Tyann Fulong and had an idea of his plan. "Boss Mo, let me go. I know I did it wrong. Boss Mo, I'll apologize to them. I'm sorry. Let me go." Tyann Fulong knelt and kowtowed. "Let you go? That's hysterical." And then smiled sinisterly, helping her brother get dressed and off the bed. Ayn Rand's pulse was fine, but his central nervous system was still being controlled, and he needed to be sent to the hospital. "Leave him to me. I'll take him to the hospital," Wang King came in and said. She followed Jinrong up and didn't dare to enter because she was afraid that the scene would be too bloody. Wang King helped Ayn Rand out of the room. Suddenly a paparazzi rushed up and took photos of Ayn Rand. "What are you doing? Which company are you from?" Wang King protected Ayn Rand with all her might. "Sis Wang, we're all acquaintances. Give me a fair price and I promise to keep it a secret." The paparazzi had a sharp mouth and a monkey-like cheeks, but he was indeed Yu Liquan's #1 paparazzi. The celebrities loved and hated him. "How much do you want?" Ayn Rand walked out. She knew that there were many things in the entertainment circle. If she wanted her brother's innocence to remain, she would have to spend money. The paparazzi stretched out a finger and smiled. 1 million. The price matches Ayn Rand's status and the Mo family's reputation. "Why don't you go rob someone?" Wang King was dissatisfied. "It's all right if you don't want to. Tomorrow, in all the newspapers and trending news, that Ayn Rand has publicly become the mistress of a rich woman in the entertainment circle. There are photos, and this is the truth." The paparazzi looked at the photos and smiled. "Take the money, delete the photos, and negatives get lost." And then took out a check from her bag, wrote 10 million, and threw it at the paparazzi. The paparazzi picked up the check and looked at it with a smile. "Great." He immediately deleted all the photos and negatives. "If I hear anything bad about Ayn Rand from anyone, you're dead." Ayn Rand threatened. "I know, don't worry." The paparazzi smiled and turned to leave. Sis Wang, you can go first. Let me know if anything happens to Yanran. I want to see with my own eyes how this beast is humiliated. Yanran looked at the people in the room angrily. I know my mistake. Let me go. Tyann Fulong was a little scared. Previously, he didn't think Jinrong would send him to the police station. After all, Yanran was willing, but he didn't expect Jinrong to go so far. Now you're scared? Don't you know how innocent my brother is? Do you know how good he is? Why are you treating him like this? Since you're so thirsty, I'll fulfill your wish. They could bully her, but not her brother. Miss Lan, I was wrong. I won't dare to do it again. The more Tyann Fulong thought about it, the more scared he became. The woman by the side trembled. A fat woman wanted to escape but was caught by Yanran. You want to run? Where do you think you're going? Look at your fat figure. It'll take a lot more effort for you to run. Yanran smiled and said. Her smile even scared Jinrong. What did you want? I didn't do anything. I haven't touched your brother either. Let me go. The woman continued to beg for mercy, but Yanran ignored her. 5 minutes later, Mosan brought 4 or 5 people over with a smile. Young master, we brought the best people of the flower world. These are a total of 4 top-notch people. I guarantee some people will enjoy themselves. Jinrong nodded and instructed. The few of you, tie Tyann Fulong to the bed. The woman immediately tied him and placed him onto the bed. Young Master Mo, what do you want us to do? The courtesans were dressed gorgeously, and their voices made Jinrong uncomfortable. It's not me, it's him. I saw that you brought tools. I heard about the sexual torture of the flower world. I'm going to buy him an entire set today. I'll pay. Just don't kill him. Don't worry, we know our limits. Courtesans looked at Jinrong with admiration. She patted his shoulder gently with a smile. Don't touch me. Jinrong spoke bluntly. He hugged Yanran coldly. Go home. Go home? No, I want to see with my own eyes how he'll be humiliated. Yanran stared at Tyann Fulong with hatred in her eyes. Aren't you afraid of getting a sty? You can only look at mine, and even if you want to. Jinrong covered Yanran's eyes and walked out. Can we leave now? The fat woman said fearfully. Leave? Choose one of you to stay, and don't even think about leaving. Mosan, stay and watch them. Jinrong laughed with Yanran. Tyann Fulong, who was on the bed, was like a pig tied up. The 2 of them had just left, and the courtesans took out their tools and slowly arranged them. The women looked at each other, none of them willing to stay, but they wanted to fight. Mosan couldn't bear to watch such a bloody scene, so he closed the door and let them fight. The room was filled with various voices. In the parking lot, Yanran couldn't help but ask curiously, what is the flower world? She thought of that profession and her imagination ran wild. A nightclub, Jinrong replied casually. Is the courtesan a fake woman? Before she could finish speaking, Jinrong flicked her head and smiled. What are you talking about? She is an all-rounded massage technician. She is usually use good feathers to scratch their laughing points or give her guests a perfect foot massage. Usually, clients will hire them to mess with people they want. But the courtesans I ordered might have something to do with a deeper mission. This is my additional service, mental torture, Jinrong said. I thought it was something more. That's not satisfying at all. And I was a little disappointed. What do you want? I can satisfy you on this point. Jinrong smiled evilly. Don't fool around. There are cameras in the underground garage. I can't accept letting them off so easily. Yanran casually called a reporter.